Today I'm working through the first 5 questions on the practice test 1. First question says, distribute, then simplify. We have the expression 2x plus 9 minus 8 times negative 3x minus 6. We want to use the distributive property. We're going to distribute this minus 8 to the terms inside the parenthesis. This will simplify to be 2x plus 9. A negative 8 times a negative 3x will be a plus 24x. Negative 8 times negative 6 will be a plus 48. And I'll combine like terms. We have 2x and 24x being like terms. Those combine together to be 26x. 9 and 48, those are constants, which are like terms, and those combine together to be a plus 57. So this expression simplified to be 26x plus 57. I have the second question on the practice test. The directions say to simplify, and we have the expression negative 3 times x minus 5 minus 1/2 times negative 6x plus 6. To simplify, we want to remove parentheses using the distributive property and combine like terms. So to use the distributive property, we'll distribute this negative 3 to each term inside the parentheses and distribute the negative 1/2 to each term inside the parentheses. When we apply that distributive property, negative 3 times x is negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 5 is a plus 15. Negative 1/2 times negative 6x will be positive. And we can multiply 1/2 times 6x, treating that as 6x over 1. That will simplify to be 6x over 2, which is 3x. I'm going to carry down all the other work. We also need to distribute the negative 1/2 to the second term. Negative 1/2 times positive 6. That will be a minus. Negative times a positive is a negative. And that's 1/2 times 6, which we'll treat as 6 over 1. When we multiply fractions, we multiply numerator times numerator, denominator times denominator, so that's minus 6 over 2. And 6 over 2 is 3. Now we want to combine like terms. We have negative 3x and positive 3x, which makes 0x or 0. And 15 minus 3 is 12. 0 plus 12 is 12. So our expression simplifies to be 12. I have the next question on the practice test. In which sets of numbers would you find the number negative 178? Our choices are integer, whole number, natural number, rational number, real number, irrational number. So let's start by describing these sets of numbers. I will start with our whole numbers. Our whole numbers will include our counting numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. And it will also include 0. Our natural numbers are our counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. The integers are the counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. It will also include 0 and the opposites of the counting numbers, -1, -2, -3, and so on. The rational numbers are the numbers that can be written in fraction form. So that's going to be P over Q, any number that can be written in a fraction form, where P and Q are integers. So your numerator and denominator needs to be an integer, and Q is not 0. And the reason Q cannot be 0 is because Q is in the denominator, and dividing by 0 is something that is undefined, an operation that is undefined. Our real numbers are anything that can show up on our real number line. This will include 0, 1, 2, so our counting numbers, the opposites of our counting numbers, but it also includes all of the numbers between the counting numbers. So all fractions, decimals, radicals, and we have the irrational numbers, and the irrational numbers are the numbers that are not rational. So these are the numbers that cannot be written as fractions. This will include square root of 2, pi, which is approximately 3.14, square root of 3, and square root of any non-perfect square. So we've described each one of those sets. So let's go one by one and decide whether -178 belongs in each of these sets. So we'll start with the integers. So remember that the integers included our counting numbers and the opposites of our counting numbers. So -178 would be in those opposite of the counting numbers. So it is an integer. Moving on to whole numbers. Whole numbers are going to include your counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 0. And this is a negative number. So -178 is not a whole number. Our natural numbers, those are our counting numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And -178 is not among those numbers. Now, thinking about rational numbers, we want to think about whether the number -178 can be written as a fraction, where the numerator and denominator are integers. I could write -178 as -178 over 1. So we've written that number as a fraction where both the numerator and denominator are integers. So it is a rational number. It's also a real number. It will show up on the number line somewhere way over here. Finally, -178 is not an irrational number. because we've already decided that it is rational, and irrational numbers are numbers that are not rational. So the number -178 is an integer, a rational number, and a real number. I have the next question on the practice test. It reads, the following expression gives the approximate value of the total average credit card debt in the U.S. in a U.S. household in dollars, T years after 1995. That expression is 410T plus 5,530. We want to use this expression to predict the total average credit card debt was or will be in the year 2016. Now, for this example, we need to keep in mind that T is the years after 1995. So to figure out the average credit card debt in 2016, we need to figure out the value of T and how many years after 1995 we have in that 2016. So to figure out how many years since 1995, we're going to do 2016 minus 1995, and that's 21 years. So we'll substitute 21 in for T. That gives 410 times 21 plus 5,530. So 410 times 21 is 8,610 plus the 5,530 is 14,140. So the total average credit card debt in the year 2016 is $14,140. In this question, we want to use the rule for order of operations to simplify the expression as much as possible. We'll simplify 3 times 2 plus 2 times 8 times 3 minus 20. To follow order of operations, we want to go to the innermost parentheses, or innermost grouping symbols, which is 8 times 3 minus 20. And order of operations tells us to complete multiplication before subtraction. I'm going to perform that multiplication and copy everything else down exactly as it is. 8 times 3 is 24. And now finish the operations inside that innermost parentheses. 24 minus 20 is 4. We have the 2 here written right next to the 4. Using parentheses, that means multiplication. So now we're completing all the operations inside these brackets. Inside the brackets, we have addition and multiplication. So we'll complete the multiplication first. 2 times 4 is 8. And 2 plus 8 is 10. Here the brackets mean multiplication. 3 times 10 is 30. So using order of operations, we simplified this expression to be 30. Thank you for checking out my videos. Have a great day.